Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is a recent purchases update video. This is mainly focusing in on the items that I took with me to the US. I did say that I do a video focusing in on those bags and basically reviewing them and how I got along with them and how I liked them. So that is what I'm doing in today's video. Most of them worked out pretty well, and there is definitely at least one miss though, but I'm going to be going through each of them and just sharing my thoughts. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and let's get started. So first up is my Chloe Woody tote. This one is in the large size, and I've had this now for, gosh, I can't actually remember when I got it. I feel like it was late last year, but I've used it a lot since, and I've now taken it with me on 2 trips. So I took it with me to Mexico, and then I also took it with me to the US as well. And it's done just so amazingly well. Like, I really love it. And the first time I took it, I was a bit nervous because I kind of have my go-to travel bags that I know work and I know I really like, whereas I hadn't taken this one traveling before, but it worked out perfectly. I used it as my plain bag both times, as well as a daily tote, and that's really kind of the biggest selling point for me for this bag. The fact that it's not so large that you can't use it as an everyday tote, but it actually still works really well as a plain bag as well, because I do like to carry a fair bit with me on the plane. I always have, you know, my laptop and magazines and snacks and water. I always have so much, so I do need a fairly decent size, and this is just perfect. But again, at the same time, it's not so big that I feel like it's only useful as a plain bag. So I love the fact that I do think it's completely multi-purpose in that sense. It's also done terrifically well in terms of the wear and tear, and that was definitely a concern, and I haven't been really overly careful with it, mainly because on our first trip away to Mexico, it kind of got bashed about a bit. I had to like shove it under a seat, so it did get a little bit squished. I was really dreading taking it out because I was like, oh my goodness, like, is it gonna be really damaged? And like, it's totally fine. It really does just bounce back. So since then, I've been much more carefree with it, and there's literally nothing wrong with it. So in terms of stains, like, I literally cannot see anything. I have not been overly careful at all. I do think it helps that there's kind of a little bit of pattern here anyway. So you have kind of these little brown flecks, which really I do think help to disguise everything. Even on the base, like, it is just completely fine. And there's a little bit of a mark right there on the ribbon part, but that's it. Like, it literally looks like pretty much as good as new. It's just done really well. And in terms of the structure, it's also just absolutely perfect. Like, there is nothing wrong with it, even with the knowledge that I've kind of shoved it under seats and squished it a bit. Again, it just kind of bounces back. So for me, it's like a 10 out of 10 in terms of wear and tear, and as I've been using it more, I feel like I've gotten a lot more carefree with it every time, and it's still just holding up very well. Because it's also very lightweight as well, you can really fill it with stuff and it doesn't feel overly heavy. And I just love it. So if you are still considering this bag, I know a bunch of you own it already, but if you're still on the fence, I've really been enjoying mine. I think it's just done so well. I love to use it for travel. I still like to use it for day-to-day use as well. It really does just seem to do it all really effortlessly. And yeah, I've just been super impressed with it. So very happy with this. It's just been the best buy so far. Next up is my Saint Laurent Lulu puffer. This is in the smaller size, so this is the toy one, and this bag just did so well, and it accidentally went through quite a lot when we were out there, but it really does just seem to kind of bounce back. And I am familiar with the bag anyway. I do have my red one, so I knew I liked the style, but I hadn't really gotten that much use out of my red one, so for me this was kind of the biggest test in terms of wear and tear, and it did really well. We did change accommodation a lot when we were out there. We were out there for a really long time, so we were constantly changing hotels and accommodation, and at one time we were running late. I was checking out and my mum was packing up the last of my items, including this bag, and it's kind of stuffed now, but she's not quite as careful as I am in terms of packing my bags, and she didn't even really think about it, but she basically put this bag completely flat. There was nothing in it at the bottom of a whole pile of stuff, so it was right at the bottom. It got completely squished, and when I saw it, I was just totally horrified because it was literally flat as a pancake. It looked very sad indeed. I was really concerned, but I padded it out with some clothing, and literally the next day it looked good as new. Like, it just kind of bounced back. I was so shocked. I was expecting to at least see some creasing or just some kind of leftover effect from being that flat, and it literally was just kind of a complete bounce back. It looked good as new, and I was just super impressed. So I have no longer been as kind of scared about this bag because, you know, it is definitely a soft one. I know my black one is pretty much indestructible, but it is a dark leather, so you can get away with more, whereas this one, just so good. So very carefree, even if you do accidentally squish it. I found the neutral colorway just so easy to pair with everything, very comfortable. It can fit a decent amount. It's not huge by any means, but I have lots of tissue paper in here at the moment, but certainly all of my essentials, you know, if I do pare it down. I like the fact that you do have the card slots as well, so if you wanted to forgo a wallet, you definitely could do. I would say that I don't always find it that easy to match up the magnetic button when it is really full, so I do have to make sure that I don't overfill it, but that's my really only comment. But apart from that, it did really well. I am much happier with this colorway. I always like my nudes, and the gold hardware I think is a really pretty combination, but I use this a ton, no wear and tear to speak of. Even after that very unfortunate accident, it's just done very well and I was very happy with it. Next up is my Gucci Dionysus, and for me this bag is completely a testament to the difference that a colour change can make. So I still have my browner one up there, but that one, whilst I love it, I just don't get a lot of use out of it. So I love my white bags. I decided to give this one a go in the white shade, and I used it all the time. This was probably my most used bag out of the whole trip. It just seemed to go with everything. I love how beautiful and just fancy it looks. I think it's a gorgeous bag. It really makes a statement, and it's just such an easy one to elevate an outfit, you know, even if what you're wearing is very plain and simple, because the detailing on it is so intricate and beautiful, it does just lift any outfit so easily. So I just found it so beautiful. The capacity isn't huge, I'm not gonna lie, but I was able to still fit in my essentials. I do wish that they didn't have the divider pocket because I do think that would free up the space. Nonetheless, if you do get used to it, you can kind of maneuver around it. So I mainly just put my wallet in the long pocket and then put my sunglasses and phone in the back, and then I use the middle pocket for masks and stuff like that. But I made it work just fine, and I think it did really well in terms of wear and tear as well. So I did get a few marks on it here and there, but I was able to wipe those off pretty easily, so it wasn't really a big deal. I was conscious of the fact that it is a very light color, but it seems to be a pretty carefree leather. I'm not sure how they treat it, but I certainly didn't have any concerns. The big one with this one is definitely the weight. Whenever I gave it to my mum to hold, she was always like, oh my god, it's like the heaviest bag ever. I think people are really taken aback because it's not a huge bag, so certainly for the size, it's very heavy indeed. I don't mind it as much because I'm just used to heavy bags, so weight doesn't really bother me if it's on my shoulder. It is a different story if I'm holding it like a top handle bag, but for me, shoulder bags, the weight just doesn't bother me. If it does bother you, then this one definitely isn't for you. But I have been loving this one so much, mainly the look, so not gonna lie, it is primarily a design thing for me with this bag, but also the comfort level in terms of the drop. I've always liked the fact that the Dionysus does sit a little bit lower. I just find it very comfortable, also why I like my Chanel Jumbo as well. So I love the handle drop. You can also double it up if you want to as well. And I just found this so easy to pair and just so special for elevating any outfit. Next up is a little wallet, and this one definitely isn't new, but I thought it was worth a shout out because this is kind of my go-to travel wallet. I use it when I'm not traveling as well, but I always take this traveling with me just because I usually prefer a smaller wallet because I generally take a lot of mini bags with me. So I'll always usually take this one. This is the Louis Vuitton Victorine wallet in the empreinte leather. I've had this for, I want to say like 4 years maybe, I can't quite remember when I got it. There's years and years, I've had it for a very long time, and I absolutely love it, and it doesn't get old for me. The wear and tear on it is fantastic, and that's true of all the empreinte pieces in my experience. The first bit of wear that I do see is on the button, and there is like a little bit of tarnishing, which I might be able to get it fixed, I'm not sure. But apart from that, the leather is pretty much impeccable. It just seems to get better with age. And then the compartments are just so functional as well. So you do have room for your money or receipts or anything like that, but you have plenty of spaces for cards as well. And you also have a very generous area for coins because I always seem to have so many coins whenever I go away. So the functionality is fantastic. Wear and tear, as I said, is just so good, and it's so nice not to have to worry about your things when you're traveling. The last thing you want to be doing is, you know, enjoying a new place, you know, sightseeing, that sort of thing, and constantly be freaking out about your luxury goods. Like, that's absolutely not it. So for me, the fact that I know this works functionally, I don't have to worry about the wear and tear, but I also get to enjoy the fact that it's just a really beautiful, luxurious leather good. I just think it's fantastic. So if you are after a compact wallet, I just don't think you can get better than this. I just think it's so, so good. It really packs a punch in terms of the size. They fit in a ton of organization into such a small compact size, and I just think it's wonderful. So love this, have loved it ever since I got it, and I still think it's so fantastic. And then finally for my hits, I do have my Anja Hindmarch crossbody bag, and I did kind of do a review of this in my Disney vlog, I think it was, but that one did get cut off halfway through accidentally. I still don't know what happened with that video, but I thought I'd do another kind of recap here. So this one I primarily got for theme parks, and I did really like it. It was perfectly functional for me. I loved the compartments. I think the labeling on her liner bags is just so fun. If you're not familiar with her, she is a British designer, and she has this whole line of nylon bags as well as other bags too, but she does this whole line of nylon bags and accessories, and labeling is her thing. So they always have really cute labels. So this one has coins and sunglasses. On the back it has a phone, and then on the inside you also have little labels as well. So here you have important things, and then on the other side you have cards. So she labels everything, and it just really speaks like the organization freak in me. Like, I really enjoy it, and I loved the different compartments. I found it very comfortable to carry. It's very lightweight, so even if you pack it with things, it's not overly heavy. You can adjust the strap as well, and I particularly loved the handle here. Very good for theme parks, because whenever you're getting off a ride, for me it's always a rush so you don't hold people up. So I love the fact that you can just kind of grab it and go. You're not holding people up, you're not stressing. It is very easy in that way. I would say though that whether this works for you in terms of a daily bag or a theme park bag is going to come down to how much you need to carry. So I went from using like a mini backpack, which is quite a bit bigger than this, to this bag, and I would say this is completely perfect for me and my needs and what I wanted to carry. But if I needed to carry anything else, or if I have kids so I was bringing stuff for them, I don't think this would work, because I just don't think it would be big enough. So I would generally carry with me, you know, my phone. I'd have a small bottle of water in here, sunglasses, some cash. I think some days I did bring my small wallet, and other days I just use the different compartments, so that does kind of free up some space. Hand sanitizer, a mask, and some lip balm, and that fit just fine. But obviously that is just the bare essentials in terms of a very long theme park day. So if you did want to bring anything else, if you wanted to bring snacks for you or your kids, or you needed sunscreen or anything like that, I don't think this would really do. So you just kind of have to gauge how much space you need. If you're someone who wants just kind of the bare minimum, something just functional, can carry your essentials but you're not going to carry too much, I think this is great and I love it. But if you need, you know, just lots of space for all your various snacks and items, I do think this one might be a little bit limiting. So for me it was good, but yeah, if I had kids or anything like that, then I just don't think it would work. Nonetheless, I loved it. Very good in terms of wear and tear as well. Love the pocket on the back in terms of your phone, because I was constantly using my phone. Now everything's on the app, so you really do need easy access to your phone, and this was just fantastic for that. So love that, love the overall functionality. So in general, very happy with my purchase. Next up is little maybe category, and I have my Golden Goose Pure Star sneakers in here, and I wanted to do a little update on these because I did wear these out there and I had a slightly different experience with them this time than I usually do. So I've spoken about these before. I'm a big fan of the style. I now have them in 2 varieties. I took these ones, which are the leopard print ones, with me because, to be honest, they were already quite worn, so I was like, I'll save my newer ones for just kind of a time when they won't get as damaged and kind of worn. So I was using these for travel, and I wore them for our travel day going out there. So really long day. It was, gosh, I think it was probably the best part of 24 hours because we had to get up really early, and then we had to travel from the West Midlands, which is where we live now, to London, and then obviously, you know, all in the airport. We had to walk a really long way because we parked in the wrong car park as well, and then it was the flight, which was 11 hours, and then on the other side, like, it was a very long day indeed. But I got the most horrendous blisters in these, and it's not as if I hadn't kind of broken them in, because, you know, I'd worn them quite a few times before, but I think the longest I'd probably worn them was maybe 6, maybe to 8 hours. And so for me, it was kind of like a normal full day, but certainly not a travel long day. So I was really surprised by how much pain my feet were in afterwards. So that was definitely an unwelcome discovery. I didn't wear these the rest of the trip because my feet were still healing. Like, I had blisters everywhere. It was very painful. So it doesn't put me off wearing them because I know they're good for kind of shorter amounts of time, but I wanted to do that little update because I kind of thought that if they'd be comfortable for, you know, a few hours, they'd also be fine for longer days, and for me that wasn't my experience. So up to 8 hours I think I'm probably still good, but I wouldn't wear these for a theme park day, and I certainly wouldn't wear them again for a travel day. So not a complete miss, but I wanted to do a little update because I know I have said before how comfortable these are, and they are for short times and just not very long days. And last but not least, I do have my Louis Vuitton Pochette Felicie, if that's how you say it. So this is definitely in my misses, and I wanted to love this. I was very excited about it, but it is wildly impractical, and I knew it was obviously a small bag because it's a small bag, so this wasn't a surprise, but it is very small, and I think whenever I kind of first test out a bag, I make the mistake of packing things very neatly, and this is one thing that I'm going to try not to do going forward, because packing it neatly is not really representative of how I use my bags on a daily basis anyway. So I start off my day like packing it perfectly, but obviously as you use things and you're going shopping, paying for food, whatever it is, you just grab your wallet, your purse, and then you pay quickly and you shove it back in. You might get some change, you might get a receipt, and so soon it becomes very disorganized, and this bag really doesn't give you any room for that at all because it is so small. So one of my kind of big USPs for this bag was the fact that you do get the pouches with it. But to be honest, it's so small that you can't really fit in the pouches as well as anything else. So automatically I had to remove the card holder. I did sometimes use this instead of a card holder or wallet because you definitely couldn't use both, so you really had to make that decision. And then apart from that, you do kind of have the open space. You have that pocket at the back there, but I could just about fit in my phone and my sunglasses, a tiny hand sanitizer, but even then, like as soon as I started kind of juggling things around and taking things out, more often than not I just kind of held my phone because it was such a faff to try and organize everything so well that it just fit neatly. And then trying to close the bag, again, like you really can't afford to have it even a little bit too full because otherwise it just makes closing it so difficult. And I remember going shopping with my aunt and she was constantly saying to me like, Amy, your bag's open. I'm like, I know my bag's open, but to get it closed actually requires like a lot of reorganizing. And it's just a major faff, like it really is. So that's definitely something I'm going to be doing from now on in terms of testing out whether a bag has enough capacity for me. It's kind of not really placing things perfectly, but placing things in quite a messy way because that is a much truer test. I wish I'd done this with this bag because I think I would have quickly realized just how small it is. But between the capacity and how difficult it is to close, and again, even when it is empty, it doesn't really line up very easily because there is no magnet. So it takes a few tries and really looking to get it closed. I just about did it then, and that's with it being empty and having that view. And it's just not a particularly user-friendly bag in that way. On the plus side though, I love the look of it, and that's pretty much the only thing this bag is going for it for me. I love how dainty and gorgeous the chain is. I think it's just stunning. I love the way it looks on. I think it's so beautiful and understated. You know, it does have the monogram, but because it's emprunt, I think it's really like under the radar, and I just think it looks fantastic and so chic with any outfit. So you know, that's a plus point. And if you are super minimal with your items, like very minimal indeed, it might work for you, but I feel like I can pare down my items pretty well, and I find this a struggle. So yeah, definitely not one of my better purchases. It's probably the first emprunt piece that I've really been disappointed by in terms of the functionality. Usually anything emprunt I just love to bits, but this one I definitely haven't gone along with that well. So that is it for this video, guys. I'm very aware that I'm losing light as well, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope that you enjoyed it. As usual, I will try and list and link everything I can in the description section. If you have any questions for me, then leave me a comment, and if you enjoy these recent purchases update videos, please do give us a thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys. On the run from my given disaster.